This is Nonduality Quotes, where we react about quotes. I used to have a bunch of quote books. I used to write all of the quotes on a book, and I threw it out. So I thought I would invite Kenneth to comment on some of these quotes. But before I do that, just a reminder that Kenneth has a virtual retreat, online retreat coming up this weekend on the 19th and the 20th. I'm going to be helping to host it. It's going to be lots of fun, and it's guaranteed enlightenment for no one.
Guaranteed no enlightenment.
No,
Yeah.
guaranteed no enlightenment. So it's
Guaranteed
going.
disappointment.
Yes, right. It's guaranteed hopelessness.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to go to kennethmadden.net, you can click on the link there, and you'll be able to sign up for that one. So there's a few quotes here that I want to discuss with you, Kenneth. This one is from Lao Tzu. Stop thinking and end your problems.
Yeah, be great if you could do that. So who's thinking, That's the difficulty, the sense that there's somebody who's thinking that it's your thoughts.
Next one. The fastest way to become awakened is to stop the mind from thinking. There's no faster way, by Robert Adams.
Definitely. Sounds very fast, very efficient. Go for it. See how you get on. And then come back to me and or someone else. Yeah, who's going to stop the mind thinking?
This one is from Ramana. The highest form of grace is silence. It is also the highest spiritual instruction. Ramana Maharshi.
Lovely, gorgeous, beautiful, inspiring, spiritual. Let's take a moment.
Okay, on to the next one. For a seeker of reality, there's only one meditation: the rigorous refusal to harbor thoughts. To be free from thoughts is itself meditation. Nisargadatta Maharaj.
Lovely, yeah. Be free from thoughts. Great. Always good to pick a one that's just impossible, so that you can never get there. Just keep going at it, and then maybe someday you get rid of free from your thoughts. Always good. The more difficult it is, the better. Person loves that.
You're going to get a kick out of this one. Remain as pure witness. Still, even witnessing dissolves in the supreme. Nisargadatta Maharaj.
Yeah, remain there if you want to. If that floats your boat, keep remaining there as pure witness to whatever. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, go for it. Any of these things are, yeah. I don't know what to say, Emerson Reed. I'm kind of stuck for words with the quotes.
What is this witness that everyone keeps on talking about, Kenneth?
The witness. So basically, all these quotes that you're coming out with are they're speaking to somebody who can do something and then bring about some state, which let's call it enlightenment or liberation, or it doesn't really matter what you call it. So the quotes are the more difficult it is, then the more appealing it is to the person, because the individual knows that the more complex it is, the more it'll just spin around and around, and it'll just keep that sense of a person going and going. So the person loves dense, complex, abstract, difficult around the next corner, loves it, and will be inspired by some of them for the length of time that they're inspired by them. They will inspire for a while, or they're satisfied for a while. Most of them are kind of quite ambiguous as well, so you can make different, but they're speaking to somebody essentially who can do something. And even some of them already you've hit on the highest form of the best. It's that this more there's what inherent in all of them is there's levels to this. There's levels. So climb the levels to enlightenment and get there. And they come also from these people with long kind of triple, quadruple names that are hard to pronounce, that we in the story, it sounds like these people are um, somehow special or know something that we don't know, and that's fed by the energy of the seeker who imbues in them a sense that they are knowledgeable and have something that we don't have enlightenment, or in a state that we need to get to, and so on. And so the whole thing just goes round and round and round. That's it. Feeds the seeker and the teacher just exist together in that they feed each other in a feedback loop, because there's no teacher and there's nothing to get and there's no seeker.
Thank you. Yeah, brilliant. I used to listen to all of these quotes, write them down in a book, and I would
Yeah.
repeat them, and then I'll say according to Ramana. So
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah,
As if Ramana some dude that he knows something. So let's listen to Ramana. It's so funny because that's the way it is. It's that like the game goes on then that Ramana had something and knew something, so everyone just assumes, well, it's true, he was special then. But there's no specialness anywhere at all. There's nothing that's special actually at all, and nobody who's special. And also, the stunning thing that always it keeps coming back to is the absolute ordinariness of actually what's being looked for. The complete, total, and utter ordinary obviousness and immediacy of just what is sought. It's already just simply what's appearing to happen, and can't be wrapped up in any kind of a quote that is either sounds very you know uh, clever or wonderful or simple or anything, because it's all beyond words anyway.
it does sound romantic, right? There seems to be kind of like
Yeah,
sounds like wisdom and sounds a little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
like yeah.
Spiritual. Yeah, it is. It just feeds that sense of that the person lives in the known, and that it's complex and it's obtuse, and it's always up a level. If you think about it, it's somewhere that you need to work, and usually in a few of them you've said it's endeavor, it's work, and it's work harder. So you're working, but you're not working hard enough. So just work harder and harder and harder, and then you get to this thing called oneness, which is it's nice. It's lovely for the person, because the person wants that. It wants something that's around the next corner, because that's the whole energy of being a person, and it feeds the person.
When I did an interview with Andreas, the same thing quotes. Someone actually directed me to this website called advaito.com and basically told me that I don't really know what I'm talking. I'm like, I really don't know what I'm talking about, but I love these quotes and I want to go
Yeah,
through them. This one is from Rumi. No one can triumph before being destroyed. Oh, beloved, reconcile me with destruction. Rumi.
lovely. Yeah, lovely. Sounds nice. It's poetic, at least. It's more poetic than the others. I like poetry. Poetry poetry kind of echoes a little bit more what's being said. The on the it can't be stated. It can be pointed towards, and poetry has that quality to it of something other than maybe more prose, which can be more dense and kind of taken more literally.
Here's the big one from the Buddha. This is the extension of self is salvation. The annihilation of self is condition of enlightenment. The blotting out of self is nirvana. Happy is he who has ceased to live for pleasures and rest in the truth. Verily, his composure and tranquility of mind are the highest bliss.
Wow, I think I passed out halfway through that one, Emerson, and kind of came back. I mean, I just start losing interest very quickly. All of the spiritual stuff, I'm literally gone. I just can't hardly even hear it. You know what I mean? It's just so boring to me. But I mean, yeah, bliss like the Buddha. You're going to the big dogs now, huh? You're pulling out the
Yes,
Buddha.
that's right.
So there's no Buddha. There's no Jesus, there's no body, there's no separate person, there never has been, and it's all a story. And that quote, and many of other quotes from the Buddha, speak of a blissful state or a state of bliss, and they're very, very seductive to the person because the person loves to think of oneness or liberation or whatever word you want to use as some sort of state of bliss, and that's totally logical because that's the way the mind works in a play of opposites. So it is pleasure, it's not pain, it's clarity, it's not confusion. So it's continually kind of pulling in one and rejecting the other, and moves towards some idea where the opposites will be just positive and the negative will fall away. So invariably, it's some sort of blissful state, which is all knowing, untouchable by any discomfort or confusion or hardship. And, that the person likes all of that. And it will, if you get there, get there by hard work. And if you're not there, just work harder. Just work. You're not working hard enough. And that's the way it is, and that allows then for kind of levels and a sense of authority in the story of people who have attained a thing called enlightenment, who can speak down to those who are looking for it and say, well, you need to up your game, buddy, you need to work a bit harder, you're not working hard enough, you're not meditating hard enough. It's lovely, it's very endearing, the whole story. I know that sounds very patronizing, but it's very endearing, the whole story of me and all of this spiritual game. And perhaps one of the things about it is that the spirituality, they actually feel that there's an arrogance to it, there's a dazzling arrogance to it, that they think they're better than the people who are out there trying to have a load of sex and get a load of money, and or they're seekers and they're in the base of the body, the base urges of the body, and we're more noble and enlightened, and we're on the spiritual path. And the big joke is it's just all the same thing. It's all the same. It's just all the same. It's all just the me filling itself all the time, being fed all the time. And that's all it is.
Brilliant. Thank you. Your mic sounds really awesome.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
Yeah, now that I hit that right switch, it does sound a bit better. Yeah, yeah.
There's one here from Shams Tabrisi. Don't forget the one who knows his devil knows his God.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Like, don't he knows his devil, knows his God. God and devil are one. you know, there is no God and there is no devil. But some of when I was a teenager, um, I had a lot of thoughts about one thing that kind of really interested me was Carl Jung's collective consciousness. When I heard about it first, and a sense of collective consciousness of oneness in that, and it really interested me and intrigued me, and I had this sense of a kind of a oneness, and I couldn't find enough material on it. But then I saw a program about some early form of Judaism which saw God and the devil as one. It was one. The God was not separate from the devil. And now I'm sure many listeners will be well able to tell me what exactly what that is, but I wasn't. And this concept was very new to me, and I thought it was really interesting because I had this thought that maybe, because I grew up in Ireland, so it's Catholicism and heaven and hell and all that jazz. And in that I saw, well, okay, so this is heaven then. God and the devil are one, so they're not two, and it's, in other words, all of the bad stuff is it also. And that's what I took out of that. And also the other thing I took out of that is maybe this is already heaven. And now I'm using words that I would not currently use, but I'm reflecting what the thought was at the time. I was about 17 or 18, and then I think that was the first kind of seeds of there's something. I kind of was on the edge of this kind of for a while, but I was very much on my own. We're all on our own. We're always only ever on our own because there's only oneness. But I'd nothing to get my teeth into because I tried with Carl Jung, and the more I got into it, the more it just was. It was not what I had resonated with originally, and I got more disinterested in it. and the other stuff as well, and some of the spiritual stuff, the Buddhism stuff, kind of interested me. And then I was definitely at a sense, and I had a sense that there's just what's happening and there's no time. But then there was still a sense of Kenneth, and there was nothing in the apparent reality that was happening, and nobody, no message or anything that could kind of bounce that back to me, if you know what I mean. So it was just my own, and that only, I'd almost forgotten about that really. And then around the same time I was walking down my main street, and I had this thought of, what if there's nobody in there when I saw all the people, because it was a really busy Saturday, and what if there's nobody in there? And then it was like boom, and then it just, I didn't understand what happened, and nothing happened, obviously nothing happened, but it was really energetic sense that, oh my god, there is actually nobody in there, there's nobody in anywhere, because there's just energy. I know I'm going on a tangent now, but your the quote sent me in that sense of the devil god quote, um and it doesn't matter, and there you go.
It's because we were talking
And
about Catholicism
none of that
earlier too.
matters.
We're
Yeah,
talking,
maybe. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I think
maybe.
you see when the quotes. I think when you say the quotes, it's probably the period of time I would have been reading a lot of those quotes was in my late teens and early 20s, kind of a bit.
Yeah, I did a lot of that too. I think when I was 15 or 14, someone told me that you're going to go to hell. It just kept on getting repeated because
Yeah.
I grew up Catholic as well, right? So,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
like all the nuns and the priests, going to hell. And I researched it. I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to go to hell. Might as well be bad.
Yeah. You might as
I
well
just
go, and you
accepted
might.
it.
Yeah, might as well embrace it.
Might
And
as well embrace it.
yeah, if you got like as we say in Ireland, you might as well be hung for a sheep as a lamb.
Yeah.
So you're gonna, if that's where you're headed, have some fun on the way. But actually, my big one was, I asked my mom. I said, "Mom, if I go to hell, if I when I die, is it true that all I have to say is, God, I'm really sorry for all that stuff that I did, and because he's gonna forgive me?" And she said, "Yeah, I think so." I was like, "Woohoo! I'm good to go then." That like resolved it all for me in my mind. I was like, "Okay, that's all right then. Let's just ask for forgiveness at the pearly gate, at the
Yeah, yeah.
purgatory
So
point."
sorry. So
Yeah,
sorry.
listen. I'm so sincerely sorry for all that maggotry that I got up to. Really sorry, because I don't want to go there. I want to go here. Yeah, it's hilarious, isn't it? And you're trying to work. You're spoon fed and shoveled this absolute manure from when you're very young, and it's really interesting how you're kind of cogitating on it and thinking, there's something that doesn't add up about this whole thing. It just doesn't add up. It's hilarious. Like it's Santa Claus stuff, really. Peter Pan story stuff.
That's right. In this story, I was Catholic, and then I got out of Catholicism, and then jumped into spirituality, thinking that I was
Ah,
going to be
yeah,
different. So instead
yeah,
of saying according to the Gospel of Matthew, I would say according to Nisargadatta,
yes,
and it's the
exactly, yeah.
same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. When I went on the Vipassana thing where nothing happened, which I always fall over myself to explain, when nothing happened, that was my real first introduction to Buddhism. And I got back to my father, my parents, and I visited them. And I said to my dad, "There's this really interesting thing called Buddhism." And he just listened to me and listened to me, and I explained and the limited bit I knew. And he just said, any man who swaps one religion for another is a foolish man. And he kind of stopped me in my tracks a little bit, and I went, "Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying there." And then it was a couple of years later. Then I was like, I just remembered it, and I just started laughing so much. I was like, "Oh my god, he was so bang on." It's just all a story.
That was brilliantly said to you, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, it was. It was just like one line. That was it.
Like, oh, wait a second, what did I get into now?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's like, okay, you go ahead, but like anyway.
and then for quite a while, I thought I was better than all of my family. I'm like, well, I'm spiritual now, and they're still religious.
Oh, you had the
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
dose of spiritual arrogance going. Yeah, it's lovely.
That was
I'm sure they enjoyed having you around, Emerson.
oh no.
Here's Emerson. He's so spiritual. Oh my God, he's fun.
And then I realized that there was nothing really different from my mom doing the rosary. And I had a mala bead, you know, those mala beads.
Yeah,
And I would do my mantras, 108 mantras every day. And I caught
yeah.
myself doing that. I'm like, what did I get into?
What
What
did
did
I
I
get into?
what did I
And
get
that's what a
into?
lot of people. That's what I hear from a lot of people, like through emails, through the meetings, through people contact me, and it's just there is a lot of this kind of just suddenly. It's everything is sudden anyway, but there's just a boom. Oh my God, this is just totally empty. This is I've been meditating for years. It's completely, totally, and utterly empty. There's nothing in this at all. And when it's seen, it's just so obvious. It's so obvious. It just it falls apart very quickly, actually, I would say.
Oh, totally. Because when I encountered this radical, uncompromising message, it was kind of like, oh no, just
Oh, yeah.
that,
Yeah, I know
like
what you mean.
this big baggage of beliefs, this
Yeah.
big books of knowledge and wisdom, and books
So
of
was
quotes,
there a resonance with it and a simultaneous kind of real sadness, disappointment that all of that was
like a grieving, kind of
a
like,
grieving? Okay,
oh
yeah.
yeah, yeah, you're kind of like angry and sad and in
I know.
denial,
Yeah, that
all that bit.
all in one.
Here's this one is from Ashtavakra Gita. Let it all
Oh,
go. The body and the mind, let yourself dissolve.
absolutely. Do go for that as well. I like these names. They get more complex by the. Yeah, totally. Yeah, go for that. Let yourself go. See how you get on. Come to my one of my Zooms then when it's worked and tell me how it worked. It's amazing. It's so simple too. When you think about it, that's the beauty of this whole thing. It's so simple and obvious and ordinary. There is no person, and a lot of these spiritual kind of areas, spiritual texts, spiritual things, they clearly state there is no person, there's no separation, there's nobody. And then in the next breath, literally the next breath, they say, let yourself go, let go of your thoughts, then you'll be, whatever. And the paradox can't even be seen. They can't see that, oh, you just said there was nobody, but now you're telling that nobody what to do to not be, it's just amazing.
I think I was reading a text on anatta, which is no self, and then there's a statement that there's no self, and this is how to get rid of the self.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
you just summed it up there. That is basically my reading of, because when I delved into just books and books and books and devoured them all, and basically you just summed them up there. That's what they come down to. 99% of them are, you could sum them up like that. There is no body, there's no individual, and this is what you're going to do with that, and that's what. And even some of the more modern kind of more current communications that I'm seeing on, say, kind of Sam Harris-esque, like, you know what I mean, more intellectual, um, therapeutic slant, maybe more even than a spiritual slant. And they're still, that's exactly what they're doing too. They're saying there's no individual, there never has been, there's no you, and this is how you can integrate that knowledge into your life, basically.
Now,
It's amazing.
here's a meditation practice for you to do so that you can realize
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So like you can, when it's being said, like people's anxiety, the anxiety's rising, and then it's, and here's what you can do with that. It's, oh, okay, oh, we can relax now. This is safe. We're safe here.
Or it's kind
Yeah,
of like saying, there's no Kenneth, but Kenneth, how did you get here? How did you get
yeah,
to that realization?
yeah. Absolutely, yeah. But the other thing is as well, and I frequently say this. I say this almost every week. Um, it's not obvious until it's obvious. Do you know what I mean? It's not obvious until it's obvious. So when you feel like a person, um, you feel like a person and you're running on logic, you're running on linear, you're running on A leads to B, you're running on causal, you're running on I do this to get there. That's the whole gig. That's what you feel apparently got you to where you apparently are, is that all of these things up to now it's been you decided all this and it's led to this. So when this a clear communication is shared, of course the response is going to be, oh yeah, so Kenneth, like you, what did you do to get there? What did you do to get to oneness? What did you do to not be Kenneth? And how can I? And so that question is essentially, what can I do to not be John or Joe Blogs? And people think that I sometimes think that, oh, that's such a boring, you must get bored with that question or whatever. Absolutely not, because it, first of all, I totally understand where that question's coming from. Secondly, the questions don't really matter what the nature of the question is. It might seem like a really obvious question, but that really doesn't matter. Equally, what I first saw about this, which was I found really nice actually, was the really insightful question and the clever question. That's about as relevant as the simple, obvious, kind of silly question, which the person doesn't is quite upset about. If they ask a really intelligent question and it doesn't really get anything back, they don't like that. But the question is from nothing and the answer is from nothing, and it's not about the question or the answer. It's totally energetic. And that's about as clear as I can put it. It's a resonance. It's just a resonance. It's something that's totally obvious, totally known already, completely known already, because you are that already. Yeah.
It is. It
It's
is. It
amazing.
is.
It's
It is
stunning.
really
It's amazing.
confusing until it's super obvious.
It's super
Until
obvious.
super
Yeah.
obvious.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's totally, you could be absolutely bamboozled by this, and there could just then be boom, oh my god, there's just what's appearing to happen.
It
There's
is.
just
And
what's appearing to happen. It's just so obvious. It's too obvious. That's the thing. It's too obvious. That's really what it comes down to. It's too obvious. It's too open, ordinary, and already just what appears to be happening.
it's just extremely undeniable. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
In inescapable. It's
yeah.
inescapable because you are already nothing but nothing being everything, or energy, or unconditional love, or whatever.
One of the questions that keep on coming, and I get asked this too, is um, isn't this a form of denial, or a bypassing, or a one of those questions? And my response is like, actually no, it's actually the complete opposite. It's actually the full on smackdown
Mm,
uh, collision of
mm.
something that's inescapable. So
Yeah.
they think it's
Oh.
an escape.
Oh yeah. Like if it's a conceptually um, adapted reality, then it can be used as an escape. Totally. Yeah, that's fine. If on a concept level, it doesn't matter how it's used, but it's not. It's not at all conceptual. Which someone will argue will that, oh no, it is conceptual though. But okay, it's conceptual if you're engaging with it on a conceptual in a conceptual way, then it's conceptual, fine. But if there's no kind of draw to go beyond concept and beyond what the words, then that's what's happening. That's fair enough. That's just what's appearing to happen then.
All right, let me go back to quotes here. There's this section here called prior to consciousness. What
Oh
is
my
prior
goodness.
to consciousness?
Jesus Christ, Emerson, I should have got a drink here with me with these quotes. I'm getting they're getting worse. Um, what is prior to consciousness? You see, yeah, that's lovely. That's another nice one. Yeah, like putting out these questions that are unanswerable, and the person thinks they're really intelligent and insightful, and one day I will be able to see them, and my teacher, who sits with his legs in a crossed way up on his chair at the top, he obviously knows what's prior to consciousness. Obviously, that dude knows what's going down, and I want to know what's going down. God damn it! So I'm going to sit here in utter fucking pain until I see that too. So that's, well, then fair enough. Keep going with that then. There's no prior to or after, or there's no and actually, well, there's a few things you could pick out of that. Prior to and after are obviously in time. So the sense of being in time is a linear movement, leaving the past behind you and moving into the future and living in the now or the present. Complete story, total story. Feels absolutely real to the person. So there actually is no prior or after or anything, but it feels like there is all the time. There's a you. Um, so there's no prior to liberation or after liberation, and there's no liberation either because there is already nobody. But anyway, the other aspect of it is the consciousness thing. The consciousness thing is very seductive to the person because consciousness and awareness, the person really feels that they're kind of the key to unlocking some secret. That the fact that I'm conscious that I'm speaking now, I'm conscious I'm sitting on a chair, I'm conscious of the light, I'm blah blah blah, I'm aware. You can use them interchangeably really because it's more or less the same thing. And the stunning thing is that it's nothing to do with what's being looked for at all. Awareness, consciousness, nothing, because it's only an aspect of feeling separate actually. But it's very much kind of central to all spiritual kind of things. All things spiritual is consciousness, awareness, because it's a bottomless hole of endeavor to explore it, to sit in it, to be in it, to play with it in all sorts of different ways, and in these ways many different kind of states can arise, which can appear blissful or whatever, which just continues the story that there's some kind of state of oneness that I can be in, and consciousness is the key, awareness is the key, and then hence all the teachings just keep coming and coming and coming.
And then me all of a sudden becomes I am consciousness. So
Yeah,
instead of being a
consciousness.
me, it kind of like the
Yeah,
game, the goal I guess is to attain this higher me
yeah.
now. So the me
Mm.
thinks that it's everything now.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people have said that too. I've heard a lot of people say that you are consciousness and everything. I think it's just a confusing way to speak. Really, it does nothing but confuse people. I think really.
Here's a consciousness quote from Nisargadatta. I, as the absolute, I am timeless, infinite, and I am awareness without being aware of awareness. Unless there is space and duration, I cannot be conscious of myself.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, yeah. We'll take that one.
Take that one. Okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
This,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
This one is from. Oh wow, there's so much quotes here. I'll send you the website. It's quite fascinating. Um, this one is about
It's
self.
okay. It's okay, Emerson. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
need
yeah.
to see I don't find it that fascinating.
No, it's just funny now because I used to
I know, I
hold
know.
on. I used to hold on to these quotes, and I'm like, maybe I should just meditate on this quote
Yeah,
and then
absolutely. Yeah, I know. And
abide in a
then,
consciousness.
yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah. The quotes probably did. Yeah, I think some of the more the ones I liked were maybe "We Woo We." Some of "We Woo We's" quotes
I
I
like
kind
them
of
too.
liked.
Yeah, yeah. I like
Yeah,
some
some
evil
of
we.
his were I liked more than. So they're the ones that kind of lodged a bit with me more than. Never really kind of totally drawn by the whole Mahana, Maguchi, Ganji, Puji, Waji, Maji, Kaji ones, you know. Do you know what I mean? Like the more spiritual the sound, the more I kind of was like,
The
no.
moment that gets that kind of like Maharishi.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just the sense of specialness and eliteness and aloofness of it never, ever, ever appealed. None of it ever appealed to me. I never really liked it at all.
This one is from Rumi. Each soul runs from poverty and destruction. How sad it is running away from happiness and joy. No one can
Mm.
thrive before being destroyed. Oh, beloved, reconcile me with destruction.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's it's he's playing on the opposites, the play of opposites. The opposites are coming from the sense of opposites is directly you are the play of opposites. You are the dualism. You know that good, bad, up, down, special, not special, inner, outer, all of that. It feels so real, feels absolutely real, and we, you know, the story of me in the world is of one of a friction of opposites, where, like, you know, the central one would be good and evil, and evil is perpetually um, almost threatening to overthrow the balance of good, and so it creates this tension in the narrative, which is makes the narrative more playful, I think. Really, Alan Watts talks a lot about it. That kind of edginess to the narrative, which requires like evil to be maybe just kind of creeping, always creeping up and threatening to completely overthrow the balance, and you know, and that's the story we're in. It's literally a Tolkien novel, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is.
Mm.
I do like some of the Rumi quotes because it's romantic, but it's so
Yeah,
dualistic.
yeah,
So
he's
dualistic.
playing.
It doesn't make sense, but it's so it sounds good.
He's kind of
It's
negating.
like
He's
a
play.
poetry.
There's a poetry. Ah, yeah. Well, he's romantic. There's romance and there's poetry, and there's a kind of a cancellation of the opposites, isn't there? There's kind of and maybe that can echo a little bit in that, you know, it is an end of opposites, because the only, you know, the root separation is you and the world, and when that sense of you falls away, there is no world and you, and all of the opposites collapse, because there's nowhere for them to be centered around. You are the center that held them in place, if you want to look at it like that way.
The next portion that we're going to go to this is all the I am. When I started listening to this, encountering this message, one of the first thing that dropped was I'm like, there's no I am. It just became
No.
so obvious because I was so trapped into, I used to say I am that, I am that, I am that.
Yeah, yeah, just
Yeah,
a mantra, and
yeah.
kind of, yeah, yeah. I mean, I hear that quite a bit. People, you know, it's all, yeah, they can say I am that, or they can say, well, there's only what's happening, there's only what's happening, there's only, and you have what you have then is somebody saying, well, there's only what's happening, there's only what's happening. Well, which is what's appearing to happen. So
So here it goes. The I am is the soul capital that you have. Dwell on this, nothing else is necessary.
yeah, and maybe that's not necessary. Dwell in this, yeah, lovely kind of language, isn't it? Like, you dwell in this, and so seductive to the person. There's somewhere I can dwell in that, you know. Um, so there's this oneness thing, and there's a state I can dwell in that will get me into oneness. Which was the first obvious thing when I encountered it. It was actually, I heard it first at a spiritual group, and about and a discussion about oneness, about someone went into oneness. I think I've said this a few times, but someone said my friend went into oneness and she nearly didn't come back out again. So be very careful with oneness. And that really, just the whole thing, just like, it was so obvious. There's either oneness or there isn't. So you know what I mean? What's this kind of, you know, being in oneness, and then you're out of oneness. So there's two then. There isn't oneness then, is there?
I,
Yeah.
I don't think you're in oneness right now, Kenneth. You know what I'm saying? You're
No,
not a,
maybe not.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think I
yeah. You're
kind of
not.
listen, Emerson,
You got kicked out of, you got kicked out
I
of
had
the
a long
oneness.
day. I had a long day, and I gradually slipped out of oneness. As the day went on, I just had a hard day. I got cranky. I didn't have enough. I didn't have my breakfast. I didn't have my 8 hours of sleep. And as the day went on, I slowly slipped out of oneness. And then I'm sorry. All I can say is I'm sorry.
You just have to knock once and you'll get in
Yeah,
again.
okay.
Just one knock, you know.
I slided out of oneness.
Yeah, you know what? I
A good
think
night's sleep. A good night's sleep.
I
Is that
think
what
I'm
you
in charge of
recommend?
I think I'm in charge of the oneness door right now. So I'll let you
Yeah,
in.
no. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
thanks.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Oh yeah, someone left me the keys. Actually, yeah, it's me that's in charge. Yeah, no, you can come in. I like you. Come on. Oh shit, it's me that's in charge. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
People are going to get confused because I'm apparently now the authority of spiritual
Yeah,
enlightenment. I give out certificates apparently. So
yeah.
this one. Your true home is nothingness in emptiness of all content. This is from Nisargadatta.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's pointing to no thing, nothing. The person lives in something. The person lives in something because they feel like something. So that's the whole subject object reality. You feel like a somebody who's looking at something. So they're living in the real, only the real, and nothing is not seen. And it's not then that you can see nothing because you will never see nothing because it's not seeable. But when that sense of being a you is not there anymore, everything is nothing and nothing is everything. And that's about as close in words as I can state it. But it's, and that's also just words as well, but it points towards something and nothing.
Brilliant. A last one from this portion. A quiet mind is all you need. All else will happen rightly. Once your mind is quiet, as the sun of on rising makes the world active, so does self-awareness affect changes in the mind. In the light of calm and steady self-awareness, inner
Hmm.
energies wake up and work miracles without any effort on your part.
Lovely, yeah, lovely, very, very nice for the person. More, that kind of one now would be quite inspiring to a lot of people who would feel that there's a state of blissful oneness that I can work towards, and I'll get there by stilling my mind, mindful awareness, meditation, observing what's going on, whatever. So yeah, all that nonsense.
Let's go to suffering.
I'd rather not. I've suffered enough, Emerson. I've suffered enough with the quotes.
Sorry. This one is the self alone can give you happiness. All happiness is from the self. All
Hmm.
trouble, sorrow, and suffering is from the mind. Papa G.
Ah, nice. Yeah. Okay. Papa G. With a name like that, how could he be wrong?
Let's go to another one of the suffering here. Um, this one is enter the ruins of your heart and learn the meaning of humility. Rumi.
Yeah, lovely.
That's
Yeah.
very
Again, you're.
inspiring, huh? It's very
Yeah. I
inspiring.
think yeah. Rumi is the romantic. He's a romantic old git, isn't he? He likes the inspiring romantic stuff, ruins, and yeah, it's very poetic and lovely. Yeah. Go there in the ruins. Bring some food. Bring a picnic. Pack a picnic. Spend a few hours. Bring a
It,
friend. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I've gone back to 4G.
Okay. All right. We'll just do it. We'll just do a couple more quotes. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's late for you there anyway. And then
Yeah, yeah.
we'll just wrap it up. The next one is the death of the mind is the birth of wisdom.
Yeah. It's nice. Again, it's nice one of these kind of, the romantic wisdom ones, and it sounds kind of what's the word? It's obtuse, and it's nice. It's, yeah, whatever. But like, it's the difficulty is, yeah, I mean, you could say that the death of the mind is the birth of wisdom in the sense that everything is unknowable, and wisdom is not a personal wisdom of how you know the world, because the world is unknowable. And if you want, it all depends on how you can see the word wisdom, doesn't it? You could also look at the word wisdom, that wisdom's not actually to do with knowledge. Do you know what I mean? Wisdom as more an intuitive,
True.
um, a natural intuitive kind of isness to everything. That has an immediacy to it. That's somehow sometimes how I can see the word wisdom, not in the traditional sense of knowing, not wisdom. You could say some people write about wisdom in that way, that wisdom does not have anything to do with knowing, really.
It's just an arising. It's not something that
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
yeah, it's not something that's kept or acquired is the better word.
Mm. Yeah, well, it's one of those quotes you could play with it in different ways. You could kind of interpret it different ways. Yeah.
And there's another one from Jean Klein. Go deep within it until you find yourself in your absence.
Go buried to the. Yeah. Go deep, man. Go deep. Go deep. Yeah.
Kenneth, let's
If you're
go
gonna
deeper.
go,
Let's go deeper in
if you're
this
gonna go,
practice.
I could get really. I could get really. I'm gonna try and keep a bit of a lid on it now. Yeah. Yeah. Go deep, man. If you're gonna go, go deep. Yeah. Fair enough.
One from a Zen master. The practice of Zen is forgetting the self in the act of uniting with something. Yamada Kun.
Yeah. Just more nonsense, really.
Here's more about the mind. Silence is the main factor. In peace and silence, you grow.
Yeah.
Nisargadatta.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the person is the dualism of sound and silence. So they feel that there's a thing called silence that they can somehow live in and inhabit, which will help them grow to the size of oneness. And the whole difficulty is that they see a thing called silence and a different thing called sound.
Here's
There is no silence.
There's no silence. Here is one from in samadhi, there's only the feeling I am and no thoughts. Ramana Maharshi.
Lovely, yeah. Yeah, again, one of those nice kind of states that we can all work towards. Go deep, get there to some blissful state where there's no thought. Fantastic. Utter bullshit.
This one is from Meister Eckhart. There is a huge silence inside of us that beckons us into itself. And the recovery of our own silence can begin to teach us the language of heaven. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. I mean, it's contextual as well to Master Eckhart and the language of where what he was around and he spoke about heaven. And I know I've read other quotes from him that you could interpret differently as well. So yeah,
I did like some of his stuff. I've read some of the Eckhart, Master
yeah,
Eckhart.
yeah,
Yeah, I have to admit.
yeah. No, I don't.
Um,
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but there's no heaven, no hell,
there's no heaven. Yeah, it's again, it's
unfortunately.
romantic, right? It's this
Yeah,
really attractive kind of like languaging that makes you go, oh, I want to be there. I want to get there. I want to achieve
yeah.
that quote.
Well, you better start being a good little boy, Emerson, because you're not the way you're behaving at the moment. I don't see you.
Hey, I'm oneness.
I'm keeping an eye on you, Emerson.
Yeah, yeah,
Keeping an
yeah,
eye on you, my
yeah,
friend.
yeah. This one, not until someone dissolves. Oh, I already read that one. We're running out of quotes here, Kenneth.
Oh, brilliant.
You're happy now. This
Yeah,
one,
I know. I love talking to you, and I'm having fun, but all of the quotes just I
it's
have
almost
no
like
interest
torture,
really.
right? Yeah.
I know. I wouldn't say it's torture. No, I wouldn't say it's torture, but like all of the spiritual stuff, I have very little to say about it. You know what I mean? People try and draw on me sometimes on different types of Buddhism and this and that and the other, and I'm like, and they like to kind of, interestingly enough, they like to kind of test my knowledge. You know, how knowledgeable are you? Because really, I get the sense that you're quite ignorant, really, about um, you know, the this branch of Buddhism or that branch, and maybe, and it's so endearing, really. It's so arrogant, the whole thing, and such utter nonsense, and all of it just feeds to me. All of that whole area of spirituality is just a fodder for the me, and feeds the me, and it keeps imprisons the apparent me, apparently imprisons the me in that loop. And that's all it does. And when I say that, then people think, "Oh, you're against spirituality and you don't like spirituality." And I never said that. I said I'm just saying that, well, it's not bad or good. It just is what it is.
That's right. Yeah, and I also can like see that a lot of people are so they're so trapped in this belief system. So they would kind of like ask you a question, for example, well, according to this person, and then they get your
Yeah,
input on it, and then they'll say, or kind of like use like according to this part of Buddhism or Zen Buddhism, and
yeah,
they're coming from a place of knowledge and knowing, and they want you
yeah,
to also to be able to impart some kind of wisdom or some kind of kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
yeah.
Well, they generally they're quite confronted really with what I'm. It's hard with the communication here. It's hard to turn it. It's hard to align it with their spiritual beliefs. So most don't last too long when they're listening. If they are really listening, they just like to move away from what's being said here because it's very confronting. You know, some amazingly kind of seem to sit with what's being shared here and still hold on to spiritual beliefs. But you can see they're busily filtering every single thing that's been said and changing it to kind of mold it into these spiritual beliefs that they have. So essentially, Kenneth is pretty much saying the same as, this guy and this guy and this
I
guy,
hear
and it's
that
like
too. So this
it's
is the same
amazing.
as this
Yeah,
Sargadata was saying.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
They're actually not hearing what's being said at all. But the person can't hear what's being said anyway, so it's not that surprising that they can do that. But it's still, I still find it interesting that someone can apparently sit through hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of a clear communication and apparently come out the other end with all spiritual kind of concepts completely intact.
I've
It's
always said
amazing. But
this, observing from a lot of the seekers that's kind of like been following this clear message, and for me, what I've noticed is the more that a person is had a spiritual past, like 20 years of seeking, the harder it is to kind of like have an openness about this. They
yeah,
have this kept belief, so they'll say something like, so what you're saying basically is um what Ramana is saying, but you're just saying it in different words. You're
yeah,
just changing
they'll work
oneness.
it hard. They'll
Yeah.
work it hard to mold it into Ramana. They'll work it really hard. Like they'll work it really hard because the investment is huge. It's everything. It's everything. Because as you say, it's 20 years. Then it's everything is invested in that. So it's hugely confronting. So that whole thing will be worked hard to be. It has to be the same in some way for them. But that's okay. That's what it is. It's playing out. And I've seen everything. I've seen 60. I've seen 60 years, 60-ish years of spiritual practice that's just collapsed. Just totally collapsed. And then it's seen, well, I spent 60 years meditating or looking at, well, and then you didn't do anything actually, and it can't be any different. It can't. That's amazing. It can't be any different than it is.
And for people thinking also that they have 20 years, 30 years, 10 years, it seems to be a badge. There's no real years actually.
Oh yeah, that was one of the lovely things I found. The first bits of arrogance I saw of spirituality was someone introduced me to someone and said, "Oh, Ken, it's meditating or whatever." This was the very very early days. I obviously wasn't doing anything, but at the time would have maybe believed I was doing a bit of meditation. Oh, how long are you meditating? Oh, however, oh, 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 that's lovely. That's lovely. No. Come back to me. Come back to me in a couple of years. Or another lovely one was the person I went there and someone else went there after me and said, "Oh yeah, Kenneth was just like everything blew apart and nothing is the same anymore, and he loves meditating now." Oh my God, he's meditating? He's meditating without a teacher, without instruction? That's very dangerous. Tell him to ring me immediately.
Oh no.
Oh no, danger!
Oh no.
So I mean, the arrogance is just very obvious from the get go of me. So it's interesting. It's interesting. It is the way it is.
I've shared this story so many times, and people keep on asking me. So Emerson, meditation must have helped you a lot. You know what I'm saying
Yeah,
too, and all I can really say is that, you know what, that's just a story as well.
it's a story. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's
it's a
impossible
story.
for the person to understand that if you're talking about liberation, let's call it liberation, that nothing that appeared to happen before had any influence whatsoever on liberation. That is completely and totally impossible for the person to understand, because the person is moving in one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, and then you're talking about this thing called liberation. So everything that preceded that led to that. It obviously did, because that's the world the person lives in. So that's totally understandable. Even though you'd say 1,000 times, well, actually, when I say liberation, I'm not saying that anything happened, because it is literally nothing happened, because it was just seeing that I wasn't there and I never was there. So nothing happened for me to not be there. But it doesn't matter, but that's okay. Like that, all of that is, will always come back. It'll always come back to this is energetic. This is energetic. This is very ordinary, totally energetic, and it resonates. And when it resonates, it resonates. When there's an openness, there's an openness. And that's the way it is.
Bingo.
Mm.
Speaking about bingo, we're going to be playing bingo this weekend with Kenneth. Just joking. It's for the online retreat that's coming up on the 19th and the 20th. I'm looking forward to it. I really love this retreats. This little kind of like this 2 days, because there seems to be nothing happening.
Yeah, I like the longer ones. Like I would have been doing meetings for years, apparently, but 4 hour meeting minimum, 4 or 5 hour meeting, preferably 2 days, like one day and another day, and even a Friday evening. I suppose kind of styled off the first clear message I heard was the open secret, and that format seemed to work really well, and I liked it, and that's the one I fell into. And what I noticed then was when a couple of years ago I did the longer 5 day, was it 4 or 5 day, and that's even it's lovely. Yeah, it's not describable, but it's just so obvious, and so yeah, it's just there can be more silences then, because the apparent silences because the questions just start to slow down a bit, and then it's just there's a certain energy to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that too. I like that too. There seems to be yeah, slowing down. Although that's just a story as well, you know what I'm saying? But I look
Oh, it's all a story.
it
It's all a story.
I do I do like
There's
the
no virtual retreat or real retreat or anything.
yeah,
It's all a story.
we're talking about nothing here.
Let's be clear.
That's right. But with that being said, well, thank you so much, Kenneth,
Thank
for
you,
taking.
Emerson. It was
You know what?
fun.
It's fun. We should do this again. We'll do a 4 hour one. We'll just have fun talking about this. Well, I guess
Yeah,
that's
well,
coming up
you're
this
not
weekend.
gonna. Oh, there you go. Oh, wow, that was good. That was well done,
Yeah,
Emerson.
yeah, yeah.
And you better not be playing bingo on the side like last time
No,
either.
no,
Or,
no, no, no. I'll
oh,
I'll hide it well. All right.
do yeah.
Take care.
Great
Take care,
pleasure.
man.
Lovely to speak to you. See you, buddy. Take
Yeah,
care.
buddy. Bye
Bye.
bye.